Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 561 based on novel. So let's start. Immortal Astral Continent, Eastern Continent, the Seven Dao Sect Mountain on the Heavenly Bull Continent. Xian Luo was sitting inside the pavilion in the mist-covered mountain, and he had waited for several years. Half a year has passed since the 10-year agreement he had with Wang Lin, but Xian Luo hadn't left, even though the mark he had left on Wang Lin had completely disappeared. The disappearance of the red light meant that Wang Lin had lost his guide, or perhaps it meant Wang Lin's death. Did he fail? Xian Luo's eyes revealed sorrow, and he closed his eyes with a sigh. He was going to wait a bit longer. Perhaps a miracle would occur, even though the chance of this miracle was slim. In the void between the cave world and the immortal astral continent, Wang Lin was carrying the coffin, moving forward with his hair scattered. He moved forward step by step. He had lost his thoughts and had no strength left. The only thing that was pushing him forward was his will. With this will, he had used his body to protect his wife and would never give up. The red light between his eyebrows had disappeared half a year ago. He could no longer feel the path ahead. The only thing he could do was not retreat and keep going forward in order to find the way out. 10 years of time in this dark void was enough to make one mad from the silence. Wang Lin gritted his teeth and continued moving forward. If he didn't have the will, his mind would have collapsed a long time ago. In truth, he would not have lasted this long if it wasn't for the fact that he had a fortunate encounter after the red light disappeared half a year ago. After all, not much of his ancient Dao cultivation remained. Just at this moment, a ray of light appeared in the void. This light was very weak, and it seemed to come from a corpse. As he closed in, the corpse became even more clear. It was an old man in a purple robe. His eyes were closed and there was no sign of light in them. However, the light coming from his body was very eye-catching. This old man came from an unknown place, but with the white light shining, one could see a mysterious force gathering in his body. The moment the corpse with the white light appeared, Wang Lin's dim eyes shined brightly. He looked up and moved very fast toward the body. He struggled to reach it, and the moment he closed in, he placed his hand on the body. He extracted the white light. The white light around the body gathered in Wang Lin's hand and rapidly disappeared. The mysterious force in the body also entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin felt that this power was cold, but it was this cold feeling that made his mind clear. After absorbing this force, his essences showed signs of recovering, and even his ancient Dao power recovered a bit. Wang Lin released his right hand and allowed the old man's body that had lost the light to continue drifting. Wang Lin's expression became a bit better. Wang Lin didn't know what this force was. Half a year ago, he had encountered a corpse like this too. It was only after absorbing this force that he had the power to continue. This force was very mysterious. It could help his essences and ancient Dao power recover. This kind of thing should not exist, but it had appeared in the void before Wang Lin. During 10 years of time, Wang Lin had only encountered 2 bodies like this. Wang Lin's mind trembled and his eyes shined. He activated his cultivation to resist the pressure from the law of the immortal astral continent. He then touched the coffin behind him and felt Li Muwen's existence. Wang Lin silently moved forward. His speed wasn't fast, but he didn't stop at all. He moved forward without changing directions. 10 years have already passed. I wonder where the end is. I shouldn't have strayed in the wrong direction. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and quickly disappeared into the void. This force is very strange. If I can encounter more, I won't die of exhaustion. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, searching for the light. However, encountering the bodies with the white light was completely accidental. It would be very difficult to find more without changing directions. After 1 year, he still didn't encounter a third body like this. His cultivation had reached its limit and he was like a dried-up oil lamp. Wang Lin had become very thin, so much so that even if someone who knew him were to encounter him, they would find him difficult to recognize. The light in his eyes dimmed until none remained. He was like a dead person. He didn't know how much further he had to go. It was this unknown that would turn into a terrifying emotion that would make one's mind collapse. Even with Wang Lin's will, his mind was affected. However, whenever he touched the coffin behind him, determination would erupt from his heart, pushing him to never give up. However, the cruelty of reality erased the last of Wang Lin's consciousness after 3 months, which was when he passed out. There was no aura left in his body, but even unconscious, he still protected the coffin behind him. Even though the coffin was covered in cracks, it would have already disintegrated without his protection. A person and a coffin slowly floated in the void. The moment Wang Lin became unconsciousness, the pressure from the law of the immortal astral continent disappeared. Wang Lin didn't know of this strange change. He was like a dead person, and not even the 3-life spell had any use. He was like a dead person, and he floated in another direction while carrying the coffin. He was like all the corpses he had seen floating forever in this void. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. An unknown amount of time passed. Wang Lin's eyes were still closed as if he was dead. On the immortal astral continent, in the 7 Dao sect, Xian Luo let out a sigh and stood up. Adding the time before, he had already waited 15 years. It wasn't that he didn't want to keep waiting, but a powerful surge of celestial energy that wouldn't allow him to stay came from the distance. The celestial energy hadn't even gotten close, but a thunderous rumble echoed across the sky. A golden sun appeared in the horizon, and a figure stood inside. At the same time, another sun appeared in another direction and a cold gaze came from that sun. Xian Luo understood that he had to leave. Disciple, you. Take care. If you're not dead, you should come find me. Xian Luo let out a sigh and waved his sleeve. A monstrous blood sun appeared and he flew into the sky. Xian Luo left. From now on, there wouldn't be anyone waiting for Wang Lin's arrival. Wang Lin was still floating in the void, and his direction had changed. It was unknown where he was drifting toward, and he had become one of the corpses in the void. Several more years passed. Some people had reincarnated on the immortal astral continent. Some people were still on the path and might need hundreds or 1,000 years to reincarnate. Not even Xian Luo understood why the gap was so big. A child was born in a mortal town on the eastern continent this year. This child was very unusual. At the age of 6 or 7, he liked to call himself king whenever he played with his companions. If another child didn't wish to follow, he would punch and kick them. He was extremely ferocious and the neighboring playmates became afraid of him. They slowly began to play his game of king. In the southern continent of the immortal astral continent, on a certain year, a child was also born. This child was also very remarkable. Although his family was broken in his early years, by the time he was 10 years old, he was already a famous liar in his city. However, if a liar became famous, then it wouldn't be good for them. As a result, this child left home early and took his talent in lying elsewhere. Time slowly passed for a long time. Xian Luo had long returned to the ancient Dao clan with a bleak expression and had gone into closed-door cultivation. When the ancient Dao emperor saw Xian Luo come back alone, he sneered in his heart. He slowly forgot about why Xian Luo had gone to look for someone. It seemed a lot of people no longer thought about a person named Wang Lin. The immortal astral continent was like this, and the cave world was the same. However, there were a few people that could not forget this name whenever they remembered the past. Mu Bingmai was like this. The immortal astral continent's Tang Shan was the same, and the new genius of the generation, Yunifeng, would also think of Wang Lin. The Mosquito King also didn't forget about Wang Lin. Back then, the beast was stopped by Wang Lin, and then it seemed to have gone mad as it absorbed the lore of the immortal astral continent with its companions. It had metamorphosed 4 times during the past decade. Every time it went through a metamorphosis, the Mosquito King would become several times stronger. The pressure here would weaken until it felt like it no longer existed. In the end, after the 5th metamorphosis, the Mosquito King gave off a pressure that shook the entire void. Its body was no longer like a planet but had changed completely until it was like smoke. This smoke was a blur, as if the mosquito had just popped out of an ink painting. However, its ferocity had reached a peak. Afterward, the Mosquito King no longer absorbed the lore of the immortal astral continent. Its body spread out as fog and devoured its 9 companions before it set off in the endless void. It was going to find Wang Lin, find its master. It had desperately gone through metamorphosis and taken great risk to rapidly go through its evolutions. It had even devoured its companions with the sole purpose of finding Wang Lin, finding its master. Its cries of sorrow echoed in the void. It no longer had a body and was only a cloud of fog. It moved very fast through the endless void. As it searched, it became impatient. It paused for a moment and its body collapsed completely. The fog turned into 100,000 portions, into 100,000 mosquito beasts, and searched in 100,000 directions. They all let out cries, calling for their master. Deep inside the void, there was a corpse and coffin floating there. The right hand of the corpse was gripping the coffin tightly. Even if the arm was broken, the corpse wouldn't let go. The corpse had been floating in the void for decades. A faint, white light slowly appeared on this corpse. This white light was just like the white light Wang Lin had absorbed from the 2 bodies. It gathered in the chest of the corpse and was a mysterious force from the void. On this day, as the body and coffin floated, a palm-sized mosquito made of smoke flew out. The mosquito continued to roar, and it flashed past the body and coffin. However, the mosquito soon trembled and turned to stare at the body and coffin in the distance. A roar of excitement echoed. The mosquito seemed to have gone crazy and rushed toward the body. When it got close, it cried loudly toward the thin face of the corpse. It couldn't speak like a person, but its cries exceeded all words. It was a roar of a sadness, it was the call of despair. As it roared, strands of smoke came from the void, revealing a mosquito inside each. More than 100,000 gathered to form Wang Lin's Mosquito King. The Mosquito King's eyes were blood red. As it cried, its large mouth gently touched Wang Lin's face as if it was trying to awaken the sleeping Wang Lin, but it failed every time. Countless attempts and countless failures. The Mosquito King's body trembled and its cries became hoarse from despair. It had worked so hard and searched for so long until it finally found its master, but what it saw was a corpse. The simple-minded Mosquito King couldn't accept it. It grabbed Wang Lin and the coffin and flew off into the distance. The void would be extremely terrifying for others, but for the Mosquito King that had metamorphosed 5 times, there was no discomfort. It carried Wang Lin and the coffin through vast distances in an instant. After going through 5 metamorphoses, it had some vague memories about this void. It felt that there was a place here that could allow its master to awaken. However, this location was very well hidden, and even it had to look for a very long time to find it. It flew for an unknown amount of distance and time. The Mosquito King searched for a very long time until it finally saw a round continent. Or rather than a continent, it was more of a large platform. The platform's shape was irregular and looked like it was part of something else. It was about 100,000 feet wide, not very large. It gave off bursts of white light that was exactly the same as the white light Wang Lin had absorbed from the 2 bodies. The platform was empty, but it was surrounded by an invisible barrier that prevented anything from entering. This barrier was formed completely by the law of the immortal astral continent. Forget Wang Lin, even Xian Luo would find it difficult to break the barrier to enter. Only the celestial ancestor, ancient ancestor, and the 9 strange beasts that were born from the law of the immortal astral continent could enter the barrier. In the Mosquito King's fuzzy memory, it saw that its ancestors were born on a round platform like this. So once its master entered such a platform, then its master would certainly wake up. The Mosquito King brought Wang Lin and the coffin toward the round platform. The Mosquito King entered, but Wang Lin and the coffin were stopped outside. The Mosquito King was startled and immediately came out. It took Wang Lin and tried again, but it failed several times in a row. As a result, the Mosquito King became anxious and began to cry. It took a strand of Wang Lin's hair with its mouth and charged inside once more. Again it entered, but the strand of hair was blocked outside. The Mosquito King went crazy and charged out from the platform. It floated beside Wang Lin and roared at the platform. A moment later, madness appeared in its eyes and its huge mouth narrowed. It pierced Wang Lin's body and carefully sucked out a drop of blood from Wang Lin's dried-up body. This blood was devoured by the Mosquito King and was protected by layers of smoke inside its body. It rushed toward the platform again, and this time, after it was halfway in, it was stuck. It let out a painful howl and seemed to be stuck there. It seemed like unless it spat out that drop of blood, it couldn't enter. The Mosquito King let out a heaven-shaking roar and it struggled to enter. However, the barrier was very strong, and the Mosquito King could only enter halfway. No matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't move in further. After several attempts, the Mosquito King's eyes became red and its mist-like body shrank as if it had condensed all its essences around the drop of blood. It opened its mouth and spat out the drop of blood. The front half of its body was on the other side of the barrier, including its long mouth. It spat out the blood, and the blood entered the inner part of the barrier. However, the inside of the barrier wouldn't allow anything from the outside to enter. Wang Lin's blood began to evaporate, and just as it was about to disappear, the Mosquito King's body rushed in. The Mosquito King used its body to protect the blood, and it let out a painful howl. Its body immediately showed signs of dissipating, and it shrank a lot. However, under its protection, although a lot of the blood had evaporated, a sliver still landed on the round-shaped platform. For the first time ever, a drop of blood that was not formed by the law of the immortal astral continent had landed on this platform. Most importantly, this happened after the white light had appeared on Wang Lin's body after he had died or gone to sleep. It was precisely because all of this happened that he obtained the greatest fortune in his more than 2,000 years of cultivation. This fortune was enough to shake the heavens. This platform was located in the void of the immortal astral continent. Not many people could enter this void, and most that entered had died or become lost. The position of the platform was also not fixed, it was always moving. If not for the fact that the Mosquito King had a vague memory after going through several metamorphoses, it would have been very difficult to find, even if one looked for countless years. These two conditions were already very difficult to complete, and very few could complete them. In addition, this platform prevented anything not formed by the law of the immortal astral continent from entering. This was like a wide rift that made it even more difficult. Unless it was like the Mosquito King, who desperately tried at the risk of its own life, it would be almost impossible to accomplish. To make the mosquito beast that would never recognize an owner to do this was really a fortune. However, these weren't all the conditions. The final condition was that the person had to either die or go to sleep and for the white light to appear. This white light was, in fact, part of the law of the immortal astral continent. It only appeared on the corpses of very few people after they died. No one knew the specific condition for the white light to appear. Only after all of this was achieved would what was about to happen to Wang Lin occur. When the blood fell on the round platform, it was immediately absorbed by the platform. The entire platform trembled and invisible light spread out, filling the void. White light came from all directions from the void and rushed toward the platform. The platform rumbled. The mosquito beast flew out in joy and guarded Wang Lin. The rumbling became even more intense and the platform began to move. It became soft and the edges curled up. It was like a palm forming a fist and gradually becoming an empty shell. Inside the empty shell, there was a mist of blood. The mist of blood absorbed the white light and was flashing constantly. Finally, a human shape slowly condensed inside, and one could faintly see that appearance of the human figure was Wang Lin. As the shadow formed and slowly became clear, after sleeping for decades, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes. He could clearly feel that a force had come from somewhere and appeared in his blood, nourishing his body. The ancient Tao power in his body suddenly recovered. At the same time, his 7 essences reached their peak in an instant. He could vaguely feel that another version of himself existed in this world. As he slowly opened his eyes, Wang Lin could hear the Mosquito King's cries of joy. He saw the excited Mosquito King and saw the giant, shell-like stone. For a moment, he seemed to see his other self. This? What is this? For a moment, Wang Lin's mind was filled with confusion. Wang Lin looked at the fruit-like shell. He couldn't see through it at all, but he could feel another self inside there. It could be said that when he closed his eyes, he he wasn't sure if he was inside or outside the stone shell. He could feel himself sitting inside the shell and also feel his original body outside. This strange feeling was something Wang Lin had felt before, but nowhere near as strongly as now. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion. The Mosquito King continued to rub its mouth on Wang Lin, letting out cries of joy. The Mosquito King's body was a lot smaller than before. At this moment, it looked like a cloud of fog that could disappear at any moment, but it gave off a powerful life force. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed at the Mosquito King's change. He raised his right hand and tried to touch the Mosquito King. His hand touched nothing, he couldn't feel anything solid. However, the Mosquito King revealed a comfortable feeling, as if it would be very satisfied and happy as long as it was near its master. The Mosquito King had followed Wang Lin for a long time, so their thoughts were aligned. As Wang Lin's hand reached out, his divine sense spread out and fused with the Mosquito King. Soon, memories of what happened after Wang Lin forced the Mosquito King away appeared in Wang Lin's mind. This was not a soul search but a transmission. Wang Lin had done such a thing before, and it would bring no harm to the Mosquito King. They could do this because they had been together for more than 2,000 years. Wang Lin gradually saw the Mosquito King's crazed metamorphosis and the desperate evolution. It had even devoured its 9 companions, all to look for him. Wang Lin saw the Mosquito King split into 100,000 smaller mosquitoes and searched the void to find him, who was already dead or asleep. He felt the sadness and despair from the mosquito beast as it brought Wang Lin and Li Nuwen here. Wang Lin also saw everything that happened after. After a long time, Wang Lin felt a warmth surge in his heart. He looked at the joyous Mosquito King, who kept rubbing him with its mouth. He raised his hand and gently patted the Mosquito King a few times. "It's been hard on you." Master's soft pat, gentle gaze, and understanding words made the Mosquito King even more happy. Light shined from its body and ripples echoed. This was the happiest moment in its life. Wang Lin had never found loyalty like the Mosquito King from another beast. Whether it was the time when Wang Lin became immortal, or when they had been separated, and with what happened in the void. It all pointed to the fact that the Mosquito King was willing to give up its life for Wang Lin. Wang Lin was a grateful person. He was also willing to do everything for the Mosquito King. This mosquito was no longer his pet but his family. He gently patted the mosquito's body, and his gaze fell on the fruit-like, stone shell. From the mosquito's memory, this place seems to be the same as where its ancestors were born. "What is this stone shell?" Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he walked toward the stone shell. He raised his right hand and touched the stone shell. However, the moment he touched it, rejection force came from the stone shell, knocking his hand away. It wouldn't allow him to touch or reach into it. He tried from several different positions, but the rejection force was still there. In the end, Wang Lin gave up the idea of controlling his avatar to walk out. He had a vague feeling this would be a great fortune for him. The fortune was the avatar that had unknowingly grown inside the stone shell. Perhaps in the future, this avatar would break out from the shell and contain a terrifying power. This power was the law of the immortal astral continent because this avatar was born in the law of the immortal astral continent just like the ancestor of the Mosquito King. It wasn't worth it to break it by force. Wang Lin also understood that the reason he was able to awaken and recover his cultivation was because of that avatar in the stone shell. With his connection to the avatar, it seemed like the growth of the avatar would make his original body stronger. This kind of thing was very strange and couldn't be explained clearly. Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time. When he was in the cave world, he had encountered some ancient jade regarding feng shui. This matter seemed very similar to feng shui. In feng shui, a lot of attention is focused on the location of the burial. Then, having my avatar here would be equal to making this a burial spot. In this way, as my avatar grows, my original body will become stronger. I thought these kinds of things were nonsense back then, but now it feels similar. Wang Lin pondered and slowly retreated. He looked at the stone shell and gave up on the idea of breaking it or for his avatar to walk out. Mortal emperors care deeply about the dragon vein. If they were buried in the dragon vein, their future generations would become prosperous. Now that I've buried my avatar here, I want to see what kind of fortune I'll obtain in the future. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he turned without hesitation to charge into the void. The Mosquito King was very happy as it let out a cry and immediately carried Wang Lin off into the void. As they moved forward, Wang Lin looked back at where his avatar was. His eyes shined brightly. Compared to the nonsense that was feng shui, Wang Lin had more expectations for the growth of this avatar. He could clearly feel the connection with the avatar that couldn't be cut off. One day, the avatar would finish growing, and once it came out of the shell, Wang Lin believed it would change the world. As the mosquito flew, Wang Lin carried the heaven avoidance coffin with Li Muwen inside as they charged toward the exit. At this moment, inside the void, he didn't know the huge change that had occurred across the immortal astral continent the moment the Mosquito King brought the blood to the platform and the blood was absorbed by the platform. This huge change shocked the entire immortal astral continent. Countless powerful cultivators came out of closed-door cultivation. The leaders and elders of countless sects all came out. Their divine senses rushed into the sky. This upheaval even caught the attention of the 9 suns, creating a rare occasion of all 9 suns appearing. No one could forget this scene, it was still remembered countless years later. It became a mystery everyone speculated about. When the celestial ancestor was born, there were 3 signs. The golden sky and black earth was one sign. When the ancient ancestor was born, there were 9 songs. The silver eyes was one of them. Although ordinary cultivators didn't know this, anyone who had reached a certain cultivation level or belonged to a powerful sect knew some of it. On this day, a distortion appeared in the sky above the capital of the Celestials on the celestial Ming continent that ruled over all of the Celestials. A huge vortex formed and began to spread in all directions. It was too fast, far faster than any cultivator. It immediately covered the surrounding 37 continents and caused the sky to turn golden. As the golden light appeared, the earth strangely turned black due to the reflection of the intense light. This caused the appearance of the golden sky and black earth that signaled the arrival of the celestial ancestor. At the same time, a vague shadow appeared inside the vortex. This figure was blurry, but one could vaguely see that the figure was wearing a golden robe and a crown. It stood in the vortex and gave off a shocking amount of celestial energy. Anyone who saw this figure would immediately think of a name that made them tremble in excitement. Celestial Ancestor? The celestial ancestor had disappeared into the void countless years ago. It was the first time since then that the shadow of the celestial ancestor had appeared once more. This set off a huge wave among the celestial race. All the Grand Empyreans of the celestial race appeared and bowed at the sky. At the same time, in the 36 states of the ancient country, a huge vortex also appeared. This vortex was black and spread across the 36 states as if it was competing with the Celestials. A terrifying and tyrannical aura poured out from this vortex. This caused everyone in the ancient countries to kneel on the ground in excitement. At the same time, Xian Luo and the other remaining 2 of the 4 ancient Grand Empyreans all rushed out. They floated in the air and looked at the vortex in the sky with disbelief. There was no shadow like the celestial ancestor, but a pair of eyes. This was a pair of silver eyes, and it looked toward the celestial ancestor. The eyes released a monstrous, silver light. The entire immortal astral continent seemed to enter a boiling point. All 9 suns appeared at the same time, and the pressure they released caused everyone to tremble. If this was it, it would only shock everyone but not cause so much speculation. After the shadow and pair of eyes appeared in the sky, a third giant vortex appeared between the celestial and ancient lands. The appearance of this vortex set off an unimaginable wave of shock and terror. This is impossible. How could a third vortex appear as the illusions of the celestial ancestor and the ancient ancestor descends? A third vortex has appeared below the celestial and ancient ancestors. What does this mean? Is this indicating that inside the third vortex there is an existence similar to the celestial and ancient ancestors? This video will end here.